I'ma show you how to get paper, boy. Show you how to get to that shit, stack it up real high, real high. See the hate in your eye, but I can't tell just what you hating for. See you over there hating, but I don't really know what you hating for, bro. Never really pay attention to what they doing, I just ignore. I don't even really pay attention, man. I'm Stevie Wonder to all that shit.
What's up, Duelist? My name is PaperYGO, and welcome back to another deck profile video on the channel. In this video, I'm going to be showcasing the deck that I used to get top 4 in the Goofy Gauntlet in Southington, Connecticut at Imperial Gaming and Collectibles. All in all, this was a really amazing event. My friends were trying to initially convince me not to play Dragoon, but I just felt like a lot of decks had a tough matchup against it. It's just a huge monster that you can't target or destroy, so it's like you feel really safe when it's up on the board, and that's really why I decided to play it. And I also decided to play Eldlich alongside of it just because I feel like I'm always going to win the grind game with the traps from Eldlich. So without further ado, let's jump right into the deck profile, and then I'll leave you with some notes and some shoutouts at the end of the deck profile. So here we go. Starting off with the monsters, I play 2 Eldlich the Golden Lord. I always feel that 2 is fine. I have seen some people play 3, but I think 2 is great. I do believe that Ice Dragon's Prison still is in the meta right now in some decks that are playing traps, so usually if I just have 1 Golden Lord in the grave and I have a Scarlet Sanguine set, I will just revive the one from the grave because I don't want to summon the other one out and then get beat automatically by Ice Dragon's Prison. So 2 Golden Lord, he just did a lot of work for me all day. He's really strong, and he sends stuff, which is great. And then onto the hand traps, I played 3 Nibiru, the Primal Being. I am kind of iffy on this card all the time. It's like, it's one of those cards where I don't think it's going to do too much when I have it, but at the same time, like, if I don't have it, I don't feel safe, and if I have it, I feel safe, so I'd rather just have it in the main deck against the deck that's going to combo against me, and if they happen to give me a point where they'll get nibbed, I just drop it, and I feel a lot better about myself. And another cool thing you can do is, like, if you have 2 monsters on the board, you can just tribute summon this. Like, if you have a Golden Lord and a trap, you can just tribute summon this, and then bring back your Golden Lord, and you have 65 damage on board already, so it's pretty nice. And then I also play 3 Ash. I do have the mismatching ashes, and yeah, these are actually very mismatching. These 2 are ultra, this is a common, this is German, and these 2 are English. So yeah, I like to play the mismatching rarities. It's just really cool. I like having the different arts and stuff. So yeah, Ash stops a lot of stuff. You could argue that it's kind of low impact, but sometimes, like in a very simplified game state, if you're trying to negate a top deck or something, Ash really comes in the clutch. And like with a Golden Lord on field that's big and 1 Ash in hand, and then your opponent just top decking, you feel really nice. So 3 Ash in the main. I also played 2 Effect Veiler. This did come up quite a bit, especially in my top 8 match against Machina. That he was a really funny guy. He was cracking me up the entire duel. But yeah, this is just like an extra thing to have. Like, no one ever expects the Veiler, so when you have it and you just like negate their monster effect, and that you don't have to use Dragoon for it, it's really disheartening for them, because now they're like, oh man, that was my bait, and now like my real play that I need for Dragoon is also going to get negated by Dragoon. So yeah, this is really nice. I would still play this at 2 probably. I also played 2 Bell. Bell is a really cool card. It stops the girl for Brave. It also stops Sanguine. It also stops Nadir Servant, which it stopped today once, actually, against Matt. I believe that was that was still in Swiss, but he was playing Brave Eldlich, and I was trying to save this for his Sanguine, but he ended up activating Nadir on me, and I had to Bell it. So it came in really clutch. If it resolved, he probably would have outed my Dragoon. So Bell in the main, really love it. And also the fact that it's a level 3 tuner, you can make it with, you can use one of the traps and itself, and you can actually make a Cyframe Lord Omega, which is really cool. So Bell at 2, and now onto the bricks. I played 1 Red Eyes Black Dragon, 1 Dark Magician, actually Red Eyes B Dragon, 1 Dark Magician, and 1 Red Eyes Wyvern. So obviously you got to play these 2 to make the Dragoon, and I swear to God, I drew this card, Red Eyes Black Dragon, I drew this card almost every single game. This card was glued to my hand, and then on stream I had both of these in my hand, I believe, in my top 4 matchup against Matt. So unfortunate, you do have to play them, but it's like high risk, high reward. And then the Wyvern I play so I can play the 3 copies of Insight, because I just want to see my Dragoon as fast as possible. And playing the Insight was a big help. I ended up resolving it a lot and searching out my Red Eyes Fusion. So definitely would still play all those. On to the spells. Again, I play the 3 Red Eyes Insight. This can dump your Wyvern to the grave and then search out a Red Eyes Fusion. Never Ash this card unless it's a simplified game state. Like Hani did this to me in our in Swiss. He realized that I didn't have anything in hand, so he just ashed this, and it actually ended the game. So it was really nice. But if I have a complete hand and I'm just starting off my play, just wait for me to add the Red Eyes Fusion and ash that instead. But really good card, helps me see my Dragoon. Then, of course, you got the 3 Red Eyes Fusion, which was recently printed as an Ultra, and it looks really nice. Great card. And again, it says you can only activate this, or you can only activate 1 Red Eyes Fusion per turn, so if they negate the activation, you can activate another one, which is really nice. Unfortunately, if it gets ashed, your turn just kind of ends unless you have, like, Eldlich traps. So, yeah, it's still really good. Like, Dragoon is a super powerful card, and I would always play this at 3, no matter what. Then, shout out to my friend Ben for hooking me up with the Pot of Prosperities. This card was bonkers for me all tournament. Like, I was playing against Michael Johnson in Swiss, and he was playing Sword Soul Tenyi, and I had a Red Eyes Fusion in hand, and I also had a Prosperity, and I activated Prosperity, and he thought for a second, and he had the Ash in hand, but he was thinking about it, and he let it go, and then off the top, I drew into Call by the Grave. So I activated my Red Eyes Fusion, he ashed, and then I called it. So this came up huge, and then in that same match, I Prosperity'd him in game 3, and I drew a Judgment off the top that I was able to stop his Harpy's Feather Duster. So this card came in really clutch. It's like the ultimate bait, because you always know that you're going to pull something crazy off this card. So I would definitely play this instead of Extrav. I thought about playing both, but I'm glad I settled with just these. It was perfect. And then, of course, the Call by the Grave. It's great for just a lot of things. Like, the graveyard is very heavy this format, and this card is another card like Veiler, where if you just have it, like if you have it set and your opponent doesn't expect it, it can be really disheartening, because like anything that can negate something where you don't have to use your Dragoon negate is very handy and it's very powerful. And yeah, Call by the Grave, I always want my Red Eyes Fusion to resolve, so whenever I see this card, it's big. Okay, moving on to the traps. I play the 3 Scarlet Sanguine. These are really nice. I don't really have much to say about these. They summon Golden Lord from the deck or from the grave. And it's great just to like have this set and like have a Golden Lord in grave, send this to the grave and bring back the Golden Lord, because then this is going to float into one of your traps that do things. So yeah, 3 Scarlet Sanguine always in every Eldlich build, unless you're playing just like a smaller Eldlich engine, but this was an Eldlich heavy build. So we played 3. Then I played 3 Conquistador. I almost had cut this to 2, but I was like, you know what? If I see Eldlich, I'm going to want to have a lot of copies of this card. And also, it's just like a non-target destroy, which is really valuable. It helps you deal with everything. I use this card to pop a lot of stuff. And like, it's just a great chainable card. I learned actually from MBT's channel a while back. I used to always activate this card and then chain Sanguine. What you really want to do, if you can, is just activate your Sanguine, summon your Golden Lord, and then on resolution of that effect, you want to activate your Conquistador. Because if you activate this first in a chain, you are pretty much giving away to your opponent that you have a Sanguine. So you definitely want to activate Sanguine first, and then when it resolves, try to pop their monster, because at least you get the Golden Lord. So yeah, 3 of those, and then I ended up playing 2 Aquero. I was almost going to play this at 1 because I played the Call by the Grave, but you know what? I was like, I might see a lot of Eldlich today, which a lot of Top Cut did have Eldlich matches in it, and of course I played Matt in Swiss, and Aquero came up big. I ended up banishing both of his Golden Lords, which was huge. I'm so glad I played 2, because in the grind game, you definitely want 2 of these. It's great against Invoked. I banished my round 1 opponent's Invocation with this card, so that was really nice. And yeah, it just has a lot of applications. Like if they send the girl for Brave, the Enchantress, you can just like banish it out and then they can't activate it. So really nice. Now onto the Floodgates. This card is amazing. I'm so glad it's at 3 now because it helps my deck out so much. My deck plays under Skill Drain really well, just because Golden Lord doesn't lose his 3,500 attack boost when you add it back from the grave and summon it under Skill Drain. Also, even if you have Skill Drain up and you have a Dragoon is still a 3,000 body, and it's really hard to out. The only thing that kind of stinks about it is that now you can target and destroy Dragoon if Skill Drain is on the field, which kind of stinks, but it's still a rough card to deal with. And with the Wyvern, even when I have Skill Drain up on the field, if I have my Wyvern in grave, I could still banish it to bring it back. So that's really cool. And then if you need to activate monster effects on the field, you just kind of send this with Golden Lord, bring it back, and summon it. So it's really good. I saw this card a lot, and it helped out a lot all day. So really great card. And I think if you were at the event, you could definitely agree with me. There Can Be Only One was the MVP of my deck all day. It's kind of funny because this is definitely a flawed way of thinking, I think, for the current meta, but I really wasn't expecting a lot of Brave, and especially in the early rounds. And I think the reason for that is because the cards are kind of inaccessible. They're super expensive. So I thought a really good alternative that was still a little bit expensive, but not nearly as expensive, was like playing a Sword Soul Tenyi deck. And I was like, you know what, I want to have a really good matchup against Sword Soul Tenyi, which I did end up seeing a lot of, and this card just comes in so clutch. What you do is, like, if they special summon Shoutout for some reason, you just let the summon happen, an unsuccessful summon, you flip a Tikaboo, and then they really have no other play. Like, there's nothing more they can do unless they, like, normal summon a hand trap and go into Hulk or something, in which case, you know, they can't make a Rorodon combo. I don't even know if they do that, but yeah. This was a really great card all day. Again, helped me against Machina. I'm sorry I keep referring to my Machina matchup, but that was a really memorable duel just because of how fun it was. So I would still play this. And, like, you really don't care that you can't summon your traps when you have a Lord out, especially in the mirror match, because, like, this comes up as a great disruption in the mirror match. If they're trying to, like, Hakuero your Golden Lord out of the grave and they have one on field already, you can just flip this and then they can't summon their Hakuero. And then you can, if you need to, you can just send this to the grave and make your plays. So really great card. It helped me against Dragon Link in my feature match in the top 16, which I ended up winning. He literally just activated Quick Launch. I let him summon the Tracer, flipped this, and he scooped. So great player, by the way. His name was Sean. He's 14 years old, and he made it to the top 16 in his first big event. So big shout-outs to Sean. And then another floodgate that I played was Summon Limit at 2. And looking back, I really wish I had played the third copy of this. This is just incredible. Like, against Sword Soul Tenyi, they summon guy, summon token, you flip this, and they just look at you and they're like, oh, okay, well, I guess I can do nothing. And then if this stays up on the field and you have a TC Boo, you can just flip the TC Boo as well. Now they have to get rid of the token or get rid of their monster. So, like, this in combination with TC Boo and Skill Drain, like, dealing with all three of those at the same time is very difficult. So I really wish I had this. The only thing that this is not very great against is Brave, because they can get the Draco back and obviously bounce this in 2 summons, if I'm not mistaken. So, yeah, I just was really unprepared for Brave, and Brave was really the majority of my losses. The only Brave I beat was Pauly, which was in Swiss. So that was in my 6th round. So that put me at XO after 6 rounds of Swiss. And shout out to Pauly, by the way, dude. You played a great event, and I love you with all my heart, as usual. All right, now let's get on to the side deck. So the side deck I literally threw together with my friend Ben, like, the night before the event. I have, first starting off with the traps, I just play 3 Solemn Judgment. Judgment is not in the main deck because I play Dragoon, so I already have an Omni Negate, but if I want to protect my floodgates, like Game 2 if I know I'm going first, or Game 3 if I know I'm going first, this came up big. Against Michael Johnson, I negated his Duster, as I mentioned before. I stopped some really important summons with this card. It's great. It's really just for cards that will destroy your back row or, like, out Dragoon. Like, this is big to protect it. And as Joe Bogley once said, like, this is the best trap card in the game because if you activate it at the right time, it's like a guaranteed win. This is a great card. A hand trap that I cited that came up huge for me was the Gamma package. So this card just came up so huge. Like, I gammed Ash, I gammed Shifters, I gammed Alistair. Against my round 1 opponent, in games 2 and 3, he normal summoned Alistair, and I gammed it both times, and he just passed. So this is really nice. The only thing that kind of stinks about it is, like, you can't do this when you activate Red Eyes Fusion because you can't summon the turn that you activate it. So this doesn't stop that. But if for whatever reason they ash your Prosperity, you can gamma it, and then you can turn this into a Link Spider, and then you can go into a Verte. So that still works. So yeah, this is it's a really great hand trap. I will always side this. I probably wouldn't main it because I have already so many bricks, and the driver I'm afraid it would be glued to my hand. So there we go, 3 gamma and a driver. The 1 Duster. Duster never drew into it really, or actually I think I drew into it once, and it was really good. I just dustered my opponent's entire back row, but unfortunately I wasn't able to play through it. But yeah, I would still play this card. It's really nice. It's just like a free destroy all your back row, and if you're playing against a back row heavy deck and you see it, you feel really safe. So I would definitely play this card. I played 2 copies of Dark Ruler No More. This card was incredible. It came up really well in my feature match against Dragon Link. That was an incredible match. My opponent was really great, as I mentioned before. He played with such confidence. I nibbed him, and through the Nibiru, he still made a board of Scarlight and Borreload Savage, and he had a set back row. So what I did was I activated Dark Ruler No More. He chained he chained his back row, which was a Cosmic Cyclone, and he targeted my Dark Ruler, and then he chained his Scarlight. So I was like, wow. So instead of baiting out 2 negates, it just baited out 2 cards, which is like essentially the same amount of value. Although, of course, I would rather deal with a Cosmic Cyclone than an Omni Negate, but fortunately, my hand was just cracked. I activated Pot of Prosperity next, and unfortunately, he did negate that, which might not have been the right choice, but like I understand in the heat of the moment, like we do, sometimes we make choices when we think we're really far ahead, and like I give him a lot of props for that. And then I had Red Eyes Fusion, so I just activated Red Eyes Fusion, and I would have popped both of his monsters and attacked for game, but he scooped. So yeah, Dark Ruler, I would play 3 of this next time. This is really nice. Then I played 3 Lightning Storm. Shouts out to Ben for allowing me to borrow these. It actually didn't really ever come up. I never really used this card, but Spells and Traps are really nice with Eldlich because you can just discard them with Eldlich, the Golden Lord, to send something. So these were incredible just for that purpose, but they never really did what they say on the text. So yeah, Lightning Storm's a great card. I don't really see anyone playing it, though. I think, like, I don't know. I think just like in terms of back row decks, like Twin is really nice because there's a lot of decks that want to discard stuff. But for my deck, I also want to discard stuff, but I also just want to keep hand advantage for things like Dragoon. So Lightning Storm, in theory, is good, but it didn't come up for me yesterday that much. And then finally, I played 2 copies of Mystic Mine. I really just like never needed this card. Like when I did activate this card once and it stuck, I just got twinned on the next turn. So I didn't have anything to protect it. But I think in theory this card is good, but it also could be bad because there's a lot of cards like Blackout, Conquistador in the format. There's Draco back. Like there's a lot of things that can bounce this card right now. This was more just like an extra thing or like something to bait out Omni Negates on the field, and it didn't really do anything for me today. So I would probably cut Mystic Mine and add another Dark Ruler and maybe another, I don't know, something else. But yeah, Mystic Mine is probably getting cut. All right, and now on to the extra deck. Now, the extra deck is, I'm not going to lie, it's janky. Me and my friend Ben just put together whatever I had, and it worked, but it definitely could use some improvements. I'll probably go over that in the end. I played 2 Dragoon. Now, you obviously really only need to play 1, but I had 2, and I was playing Extrav, and I didn't really have time to like make other edits, so I just left them both in. The cool thing about playing 2 is if you play Magicalized Fusion, you can just use your Verte, send the Magicalized Fusion, and banish the Red Eyes Black Dragon and the Dark Magician from the grave in order to make another Dragoon. Obviously, I'm not playing that in this instance, but Dragoon is the heart and soul of the deck. He put in so much work at the tournament. Like, nobody was prepared for this card. It was just such an unstoppable card all day. Like, I had people just staring at this card being like, what do I do? And, you know, there were some really talented players at this event, so I owe a lot to Dragoon for my success. He was really big for me, so thanks, Dragoon. Appreciate you. I do play the 1 Super Dora. This is normally something that I just banish off of Prosperity. I never made Super Dora, but like if you're in a simplified game state and you have a Gustav Max and you just need a turtle for a little while, this is 4 racks defense, and then you can quick effect target 1 face-up monster on the field. That target is unaffected by card effects. So unfortunately, you can't target Dragoon because it's untargetable, but you know, you can target itself, and you're just sitting on a 4K body that's unaffected. So it's really nice. This card never comes up for me, but I just have it in the extra deck just in case I swing with an Xyz monster and then I want to make a Zeus. It's really nice. I honestly don't think I've ever made Zeus in this deck, but I would always play it just to have it, just in case that scenario comes up. Yeah, and it's really nice, and it's easy to get material onto him because you have the Gustav Max. So you have the two Golden Lords under the Gustav Max, and you can put a Super Door over it, and then you can put this. So it has a double send. So really nice. My favorite card in the extra deck is Pleiades because you can use 2 of your Eldlich traps to make this card, and then you can detach material to quick effect bounce something. So like I had one match where I was under Rivalry, and I had, essentially I summoned a Pleiades, and then I had a Golden Lord on the field, and I was under Rivalry, and I actually ended up keeping the Pleiades because the Golden Lord isn't a disruption, but the Pleiades is. So I was able to bounce his Rivalry with my Pleiades on his end phase, and then go into some more of my plays. So this actually came up really clutch in that one game in particular, but other than that, it did not come up for the rest of the day, but it came up when it mattered, so MVP. Then, of course, I play the 1 Gustav Max. I would never cut this card. This card facilitates no TK if you have 2 Golden Lords on the board, one of them has to be big, so it has to be one that you revive from the grave. But if you essentially attack into an open field with the small one and the big one, you can overlay for this, and the Golden Lords do 6,000 damage, and this does the other 2,000. So that's an OTK right there. It's also a 3k beat stick, and if you attack with this and you have to attack into a monster, again, you can just make a Zeus. So it's really nice. Then I play the one Omega. Omega is nice. Like, it does come up. Like, if you gamma them, you're normally just going to go into a Verte from there. But, like, if you have a trap on the board and all you have is, like, a hand trap, you could just normal summon the hand trap, make an Omega if you need to push for damage, or, like, if you want to banish that one problematic card out of their hand, like in a simplified game state. Omega is a really nice card. I would always probably keep this at 1 in my extra, if I'm not mistaken, it is at 1. So, yeah, I would definitely keep this card. And one thing I do have to say is that, like, I never claim to be the best duelist. That's why I love to play trap cards that are very high impact, because oftentimes, like, I have to read my opponent's cards. I don't really know, like, oftentimes I don't know what my opponent's cards do, especially for some of the newer decks, because I don't really play that often. But, yeah, like, playing the high impact traps is really nice for me, because if I see that there's 2 types on the board that are the same, flip there can be only 1. After your second summon, flip summon limit. Activate an effect, flip skill drain. So they're all really high impact. And yeah, I don't claim to be the best duelist at all, but I just play cards that make me feel comfortable playing the game. Then I play 2 Link Spider. Link Spider is a card that you can make with your normal monster, or obviously you can make it with one of your Eldritch traps. It's really nice for that, because if you just have an Eldritch trap on the board and you're under TC-Boo, you can just link it away into this. This is a Cyberse, so then you put the Eldritch trap in the grave, and then it floats into your Sanguine. So now you can have a Cyberse, and you can have a Golden Lord on the next turn. So Link Spider's the GOAT. And then the honorary Link Spider that comes up every once in a while, didn't come up yesterday, is Imduck. Now, Imduck is a great card for if you can summon this in the extra monster zone, and then your opponent has something in the zone that this is pointing to, it can actually destroy that thing if it battles it at the start of the damage step. So, like, if they happen to mess up and not play around this card and put something there, this can deal with a threat, and it has come up with me for me before. So that's why I would always play this at 2. And again, I play 2 because, like, it's an easy thing to banish off Prosperity in the event that you need to do that. So great card. Then this card's funny. It never came up for me, but it could have in theory. Is Relinquished Anima. I can make this using a Veiler, like a normal summon Veiler. Like, this is another one where, like, I can take something that it's pointing to. So I would just, like, normal summon a Veiler if Skill Drain was up or something, for example, and it was dead. And then, like, I put this in the extra monster zone, if it's pointing to something, I could just take it. So it never came up for me. I usually just banish this off Prosperity because, like, I didn't draw my Veiler or whatever. So I would still keep it. It's, like, a good option to have, I think. So I would keep that in the main deck. And then finally, I do have the 3 Predaplant Verte Anaconda. Now, there's a reason I play 3, actually. First and foremost, you don't feel so bad banishing 1 off of Prosperity. You still have 2 left. And then another one is, like, if they stop your Anaconda and they're able to destroy it, you just come back with another one, and, like, they don't necessarily expect that. Like, I don't think a lot of decks are playing more than 1 of this card unless they're playing Extravagance. So this card at 3, it never really came up. Like I said, I normally just banished extra copies off of Prosperity to get, like, a power card out of my main deck. But I would still probably play this at 3. Yeah, sure. Like, I always want to have backup copies just in case they're able to stop it and we get into a grind game. So, Verte Anaconda, it just got banned in the OCG, I believe. That's kind of scary. But anyway, guys, thank you so much for watching the video. I really do appreciate it. Shout out to everyone who came out to the Goofy Gauntlet yesterday. Like, it was such an amazing event. Like, my boy Goofy Joey, and along with all the other sponsors that were involved and all the vendors and all the good people that came out, you guys did all such a good job. And there's so many of you, there's too many to name in a short video like this. But I just want to say thank you to all of you guys and to all my friends and all my friends that helped me practice and become the duelist that I am today. Again, like I said, I never claimed to be the best duelist in the room, but I ended up playing a deck that I was comfortable with, and it ended up working out for me. And I'm really thankful for that. And it's such a blessing to be a part of such a welcoming community. And I just also wanted to say thank you to everyone who subscribed and entered the raffle at the Gauntlet. You guys are the best, and I couldn't do any of this without you. And I really just appreciate you all so much. But yeah, if you have any questions, leave them in the comments down below. If you enjoy content like this, be sure to like the video, comment down below, subscribe, and turn on that notification bell so you can be notified every single time I upload a new video. And with that being said, my name is PaperYGO. And as always, stay getting that paper. I will see you in the next video.
Show you how to get to that shit, stack it up real high, real high. See the hate in your eye, but I can't tell just what you hating for.